Technically minded until I absolutely positively need to get something done, then I just fuck it up. As anybody who's seen my pictures can tell you. So before we really begin, I should point out something, and that is that we have a sponsor. That sponsor is Dominicat Clothing, and I am not just saying that they are awesome because they sponsor us, they are also awesome because Barry keeps stopping by and saying, I have leather goods and you need these. I'm like, you're right, yeah. And they're not like my usual leather goods, not the sort of stuff you suspend somebody from a ceiling from, but we could work that out as a sideline, right? Yeah, we'll do that, you know. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that Shelby's going to approach you for a straight jacket, more in a Dave Nesbitt size. Yeah. Yeah, pretty typical Dave, really. And so with that in mind, allow me to introduce, I switched around the card a little bit, the great and mighty Barry Dunn from Dominicat Clothing. Say hello to him.
Okay, so I'm kind of a virgin at this, so you're going to have to kind of bear with me. So, like, that's so weird coming from the other end, you know what I mean? All right. First, on behalf of my business partner, okay, I do run a clothing company here in town, and I have to give the disclaimer at behest of my business partner that says anything that I say up here is not reflective of Dominicat Clothing and Design or Dominicat LLC. It's purely my pure drivel and opinion, and if you have a problem with me, come talk to me afterwards. I'll still not give a shit. So, can I get a quote? All right, cool. That is going to be in some market segment someplace, so that's awesome. So, it was just kind of funny because it's like early. I'm just going to share one little anecdote with me, and oh yeah. I can't do that. I do that click thing. Damn, How I Met Your Mother, Barney Stinson. So, well, a coworker earlier today was like, "Do you think I'm a fucking horse?" And I'm like, "Well, it kind of depends. Like, how old are you? Like 30? Like, Anyway, so it was just funny just to hear Dave talk about like his whole entire expansive network of people that he knows. Because it strikes a familiar chord with me, because if you look at my scope of friends, I have a huge scope of friends. I know people that have worked for every single clandestine service and have been actually dropped in other countries to usurp their governments. I've known people who are in rock bands. I know other clothing designers. I know people who have fought in the UFC and are friends with them. And I know people who are cross-dressing bearded ladies. So the spectrum is broad, and it's pretty cool, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else. But it's really cool when you get into the like circles of people, how their influences and stuff like that really shape their language and the way they talk, and like so much like I try to look into it. Like I have some very smart friends, and one of them's here tonight, Alan Wiggs. You may know him. I always say, like, when I hang around Dave Nesbitt, Alan Wiggs, and James, I can never pronounce James's last name. I always feel like, yeah, I always feel like I'm really fascinated with people, but I'm like, damn, I really need to read more books that don't have comic pictures in them. Okay, so I'm a little, it's because like I notice I have a lot of the same books that Alan and James have. The only difference is mine are like holding up pieces of furniture. Alan can read it, understand it, and the last time I picked one of those books up, I really wing chucked it at the dog because he was licking his balls too loud. It's just kind of like one of those things. So there's several differences, but I notice like I pick up on words, and words are like it's cool like when people talk about this stuff because like. I heard James and Alan use a term like pseudo-intellectual, and how fucking cool are those words? Pseudo-intellectual. It just like rolls right off the tongue. So I'm like walking around like shopping with my girlfriend, and I say to Jessica, and I'm like, "Hey Jessica, look, that outfit is very pseudo-intellectual." And I'm like thinking, "Hey man, she's gonna get depressed. I'm gonna get laid tonight." And then she points out that I'm a fucking idiot. And I didn't get laid that night. I said, yeah, that's just right. I'm a pseudo-intellectual. So I was like, okay, so it's like one of those things. So, and it's kind of funny because that's the intellectual world. You use words like that and like politics and vote and things like that I don't understand. So So, and the other scope of things is about 3 weeks ago, I was at an event and I ran into some old friends, and they're very Christian, very, very Christian-y. But hold on. I know this group here. Okay, hold on. These people are very wonderful people. They're like the more like the precious moments type of Christianity. They're not going to round up the family and go to Chick-fil-A and suppress some gays. They're not going to do that. They're just not what they do. They're very, very nice people, and they're beautiful people. They really are, and they give a lot to their community. They're the types of people that would, if you need a meal, they'll give it to you. If you need a place to stay, if you need help, they're really kind of like in my opinion, embodied like if you believe in Christ, what he really said. And I noticed that they were pregnant with their fifth kid. And you got to understand, okay, I don't really have a whole lot of religious beliefs or anything like that. I have my own set of beliefs, but I got to tell you this much: that these people are wonderful people, and I don't want you to get the wrong idea about them. Because, like, if I had kids and something happened to me and my family couldn't take care of them, I'd want these people to raise my kids. You got to understand that. Because their kids, the four that they have, are smart. Their oldest one is about 11 and knows what pseudo-intellectual means. And it's one of those things. They're well cared for. They're good people. And in fact, if I had kids right now, I'd want them to take care of it because they'd just do a better job raising it and probably be more interested in the kids than I would be in my own kids. That's just how I am because I got a lot of Xbox to play. So the one thing that I really notice is like, with their belief and stuff like that, little speech patterns and stuff that come up is like we're talking about. It's like, oh, obviously you're pregnant, everything. Oh yeah, we're having a little girl and stuff like that. And they were talking about like, we kind of planned out having 4 kids. And well, this one was God's little surprise. And right there, I had to bite my tongue. All right. Because since they're nice, good folks, good people. I always have, with my Christian friends, I have a little set of jokes. I'm like, ha, 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 if you want to make God laugh, just make plans. And, we had a chuckle, they had a chuckle. But right at that moment when she was like, this one is God's little surprise. What I wanted to say is, he did in fact fuck you, right? I mean, that's what happened. I mean, there's to me, it's not a surprise. It's a little thing. I mean, I'm not a pseudo-intellectual, but there's a thing called biology out there. And I'm pretty sure if he takes his fleshy little X-Wing and does that Death Star trench run and shoots that proton torpedo right into that mama hole, and all of a sudden is, Death Star baby explosion 9 months later, that's an actual fact. That is not like pseudo-intellectual crap. That is going to happen. Like if your plumbing and his plumbing works and pow, baby 9 months later, I just don't get it. I mean, I figured somewhere in the Bible it would have had, okay, yes, this, baby, not, hey, surprise. To me, God's little surprise would have been like, oh, by the way, we had sex and now I'm having a microwave. Which to me would be like, oh, wow, that's going to be really handy because you don't have to change diapers, you can cook food, but it's still going to be awkward when it's 18, you got to kick it out of the house because it's got to go to college. It's just kind of like, I don't know, it's just one of those things. But anyway, that's the broad scope of my friends, and that was kind of like the vastness of my pseudo-intellectualism. So have a good night.
Barry, I just want to point something out. Whether you know that or not, that was kind of your audition. And you've got 5 yes votes at this point. So 6, I didn't talk to Alan, but I think he's got that one. So we might put you on the super secret list where we talk about even nerdier things than, trench runs with the X-Wing and that was like an epic level of geekness that being an uber nerd myself, I'm in awe and wish I could have come up with something like that. Somewhere Bill Lockwood is applauding and he doesn't know why. If you don't know Bill, well, yeah. Yeah, and, well, it's typical Bill. If you don't know him, then don't worry. He'll be stopping by your house, and whether you want him to or not. And so, speaking of auditions, Liz, Could you come join us on stage, please? We have a running gag that Liz is our perpetual audition, and we keep going here, there, and everywhere. And so it's been kind of fun. Like, okay, we're gonna have Liz come up here, and it starts off, and I don't know, she'll do something completely different now, but it starts off one way, and then you sit there, and then the ball breaks in a different direction. But knowing her, she's now sitting around going, fuck you, I'm going straight forward, right over the plate, and have a nice day. So ladies and gentlemen, I have a hard time pronouncing her last name. I think everyone else does as well. I'm going to try it just for laughs. Liz Tilling-Hoysen?
No.
Aha. I like coming up with that just because I like that voice.
It's my mom referring to a kind of sauce.
Oh yeah, that too. So lady, we just refer to her as Liz T.
Hello, internets. Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing? I had to wrap it around the stand because that's sexual. So I'd just like to point out that I was supposed to be here earlier tonight, but instead I forgot where we were. And so I went to the pizza shop. I was super stoked. I was like, oh yeah, I'm here on time. It's 7 o'clock. Wait, no, it's 8 o'clock. And we're all standing around, and the guy goes, oh yeah, Samurai Spoken Word, they're in the back. And I'm like, oh yeah, sweet. So I go into this pizza shop, and I sit down, and Tuna and I look at each other, and then we look up on stage, and they're talking about cats. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, they're finally catching on. Cats are pretty awesome. And then I sat there for a minute, and I go, I don't recognize any of these people. And why are they all talking about cats? Crap, I am not in the right place. So we got to drive my friend Brian and Jamie, who are currently not here because they have a baby. They decided to follow us. They were trying to see my spoken word because I was actually going to make fun of Jamie tonight. And they couldn't get in. After we got lost, they got lost. We got lost some more, and then they got lost some more, and then they called me from a stranger's cell phone because they don't have their own for one reason or another. And then they got lost some more. And then they got denied access into the building. So it was a wonderful night. And they're not here now. Hi. Hi. So I'd just like to point out that this outfit is not one of the ones to go shopping at Walmart or Sam's in. Earlier today, I was actually wearing just stilettos that were really ruby red, and I felt like Dorothy, the goth version. We're walking around Sam's, and I kept getting these stares, and all I could think is, I really hope I don't have a bulge. Oh, it's the shoes. So it's always nice when you have it had to be an 8-year-old little girl going, I love your shoes. And you go, oh, that's sweet, honey. Don't start wearing them until you're at least 16, okay? So, anyways, tonight I actually have a rant, an improv rant. Instead of my lovely assistant Marlo helping me, I actually have come up with this on my own. And I have two things I would like to point out that have been bugging me. That is, one, my new job, which I will not say the name of the store, but I will simply say that it is an adult store, because everyone here knows me, and everyone here knows I know the difference between a flogger and a whip, and a toy and a not a toy. And you don't stick that there. And then the other one, so just to start out, my jobs for customer service are amazing. As a sales rep for both a big game company and a adult store, they are both very fun. You have a very large range of entertaining people coming in, from the very drunk people to the very stupid people. My favorite so far at the adult store is actually the woman who came in extremely drunk. She is 21. It was her 21st birthday. She just got done reading the 50 Shades of Grey. She comes up to me and she goes, so, I was wondering if you have a flogger. I'm like, oh yeah, we know, knowing me, all of you, you know that I know what a flogger is and what a whip is and what a cat o' nine tails is and how to use them properly. She comes up to me, I take her into the fetish room, and then looks at me and she goes, that's not a flogger, that's a paddle. God, haven't you read 50 Shades of Grey? And I look at her and I go, I guess I haven't. Here's a whip. No, that's a flogger. What? My manager actually pulled me out of the situation because it was starting to get to the point where she was yelling at me that I knew nothing about bondage or how to tie a knot, and that I should get a new job. She then proceeded to tell my manager, who has been in this industry for 4 years, how to use a dildo. I was so proud. He didn't cry. For GameStop, one of my personal favorites is, yes, I said the name. Anything I say after this is my beliefs only. And I have said that I work at GameStop before, so there it is. Come buy video games. My personal favorite is actually one of my friends now, but we did not start off as friends. We started off as she was the crazy psycho pregnant woman, put nicely, and I was the customer service rep or game advisor who got to pick up after her as she stormed through the store, yelling and screaming how 99-cent games were not cheap enough. It's a wonderful and magical day. Started about 3 months ago. No, sorry, 5 months ago. She's not pregnant anymore. And she came in with her husband. They didn't have a car at the time. They walked everywhere. She was not only complaining loud enough that on a busy store day, she was louder than everyone else in said store about her feet. She started complaining about the baby that was now kicking her spinal cord. She then proceeded to go over to the PlayStation 2 rack, went through everything, found all the cheap games, then left them there. She went up to the counter, ranted, raved, screamed in my face, and then demanded to know why I just stood there blank. Because everyone knows when a woman who is pregnant, obviously hormonal, is yelling in your face, you should be cowering in fear, especially if you are a female yourself. The managers on duty, who were both male, however, were cowering in fear while I stood there taking it like a boss. And eventually, she got a power-up card, renewed her subscription, and then left the 15 to 20 games that she had just spent 30 minutes looking for because they were all 99 cents or less, because everyone knows those are better, for me to sort out and then follow her around the store and put everything away. And then she asked for my phone number because we're going to be best friends, right? Yeah, okay. Please don't come back. And then she proceeded to buy me an Xbox. So I guess it was a good deal. I love you, Jamie. I promise. Could be worse. All right, and so my other rant tonight is actually something that is very personal and it touches my heart. People who have mental diseases and then use them as a crutch. I would just like to say something quickly and use to all of you, shut the fuck up. I have my own mental diseases, and I'm pretty sure everyone and their mother has a mental disease nowadays. As a psychology student and a psychology major, I will tell you all that I'm sure every single one of you might be a schizophrenic.
There's a shock.
Oh my! I think you suffer from sexy syndrome. I will see you in my office at 5.
And again at 7.
And then again at 10. And again at midnight. But I would just like to point out that anyone who is over the age of 25 has been living with this same disease for the last 7 or 8 years of their life. Don't use it as a crutch anymore. It is your life. It is not your parents' decision to tell you you can or cannot go out the door. It is not my decision to tell you you can or can't go out the door. I am tired and sick and tired, actually, of hearing people who are, I'm depressed. I can't go out the door today. Can you work for me? No. Pull your head out of your bum. Grow up. You're 27. You've had depression since 16. I think you know how to deal with it by now. If not, I will happily listen to your problems and then tell you to shut up. It's really not that hard. And I'm so sick of having so many jobs, and all the time I hear about people who can't come into work because they're crying, because they stubbed their toe, and because they're depressed because of it. And it's just something that if we're all going to have these depressions, if we're all going to have these mental diseases, I'll happily tell you right here and now, I'm a schizophrenic. I hear your voice, I hear my voice, I hear her voice, and I hear his voice all the time. I still can pull my head out of my ass and do my job. And I can stand up here proudly saying I have dealt with it for 6 years. And I will continue to. And that's pretty much all I've got. Thanks. I love you, Dave.
Usually I think that's some kind of challenge to try to follow, then I realized it was Rocco. What, you want me to do another set?
No.
I'm not proud. And I even have more material than the Berlin story to throw back on it. So.
I'll tell you a Berlin story.
Ooh. And speaking of knowing a thing or two about bondage, I have the pictures. Actually, I have several sets now that I think about it.
So there I was in Berlin.
That's actually become like a running gag now with like some of the women who have modeled for me. Is, oh, did he tie you from the ceiling too? Oh, he does that all the time. He even did that at a film shoot. I think he's just got a thing for like ceilings and girls hanging up like that. And, well, you know, like the arms and the breasts and the, okay, yeah. We'll get into my fetishes later.
Did he go over the moon or did he go over the after the moon? What the hell?
I was going with the hands up. It was more kind of like a strange sort of like horror film meat hook thing at that point.
Did he at least let you keep your underwear? No? I'm so jealous.
Well, there's a week, a shitty week from now, we'll talk. So, with that in mind, Rocco. Rocco has been appearing with us, for like 2 or 3 months. And I'm going to actually now do something that has become kind of a tradition, which is Rocco will walk up here, he will begin, and I will start adjusting the soundboard. Not that he's like preternaturally loud or anything like that. It's just like much like Alan, he has a voice that carries far beyond any point that you would normally think. So, ladies and gentlemen, Rocco Caniglia.
Motherfucker! Adjust that.
The entire internet.
Well, you know what? As always, fuck everyone on the internet. Hi, Mom.
I have.
No, please give it up for my mother. She's watching right now on the live streaming because she unfortunately couldn't be down here tonight. So please give it up for my mother for birthing me and raising me into this fine, upstanding gentleman that you see in front of you. I'm going to start off with this. Come to find out the other day, I got this new job, and the lady that I work with is this Mexican lady who sold meth in Portland for a long number of years. Just recently got out of prison. And so we kind of go back and forth, telling crazy war stories about, dealing drugs and going to jail and shit like that. And I found out something interesting. Did you know that when you dial 411, the person that picks up on the other end is most likely a prisoner? Yeah, I just saw it go through all your heads like it went through mine. That time that you were a dick to the dude on the other end, like, what do you mean you don't know where the fuck Dodge Street is? I told you, no, it's an F, no, S, not S. Every time you do that, somebody probably gets shanked in the shower. So bear that in mind before you get too frustrated next time. But that leads me into my first piece. This one's called Jailed and Lamenting. By the way, anyone in here ever been to prison? Or not prison, but been to jail? Been arrested? Make a round of applause, please. Round of applause. We're not in fucking class. Marlo ain't teaching up here, goddammit.
So I got extra points for working in kitty jail?
Sure, why not? You get a bologna sandwich for that one. I lay my body on a cement floor. No one can stop that incessant screaming from down the hall about a phone call that doesn't exist and never will. I've already been poked and prodded and processed, another victim of the system. I'm no political prisoner, I'm here on my own volition, coasting and gliding between the cracks until the time that I got snapped back to my own reality. So now I wake up and look around and just wait for that respite of sleep to take me off to dreamland, far away from the bars and plexiglass and bars of steel of my new real world. So now I lie awake, waiting for them, just waiting for them to call my name. Thank you. This one's called Her Touch is Electric. It's, I went on a date long time ago with some girl that was far prettier than I. And she, this is just basically about when I tried to put my arm around her in a movie and she snapped me off. So, anyways. Her touch is electric. It burns my arm. Two hearts race in a syncopated rhythm, and it makes you understand why people live in hell. It's just to see heaven. Her touch is electric. It burns my mouth. It makes you fumble and fidget over words once woven so well together. Her touch is electric. It burns my eyes, not only because of the beauty that I have seen, but the beauty that she sees in a wretch like me. Her touch is electric. It burns my soul, turning a moment to a memory for older ages to look upon and relish in. Thank you. This next one's about drug-induced paranoia. It's called Shadows Dance. The shadows dance, a morbid romance, a drunken trance, all can make the shadows dance. A necromance, someone you lance, and all can make the shadows dance. The lack of sleep and skeletons that you keep, a black hole in your soul that burrows down too deep, all can make the shadows dance. Silence and violence, acts of defiance, all can make the shadows dance. Fear and rejection, your own psyche dissection, all can make those shadows dance. Thank you. Anyone out there ever seen the movie Wonderland? Round of applause. Fucking, yeah, John Holmes and shit. You know, watching that movie, I'm sure Dave can really, yeah, you can empathize with this. Watching that, yeah, you could have gotten caught in them scenes a couple times, huh? Anyways, this is kind of about that movie, about my life, about drinking, about weirdness. Anyways, this is Wonderland. Wandering into Wonderland, walking through the looking glass, out of the frying pan, and into the funeral pyre. This baptism of fire, this heart pumps fuel, trying to be true. What can you do when cattywampus jabberwockies keep clogging up my arteries? I just keep paying tolls to trolls, just to follow white rabbits and white lines into these black holes. Thank you. So as I mentioned earlier about my mother, she's watching right now, but she went on a well-deserved trip to Maryland. My family and I have kind of gone through some dark times recently. You know, we're all really broke, really hungry. The only thing we really have is a $500,000 house that's falling the fuck apart, which is kind of like having gold to find out it's pyrite. But anyways, she goes on this trip. She had this wonderful time. Well, I had to go pick her up at the airport on Saturday, but I had stayed up until 6 in the morning doing cocaine all night. So when she picked me up, I was a little bit sick. We'll just put it that way. Anyways, in talking to her, the one thing that kind of broke this was the fact that we were talking, and I was like, "So what'd you do in Maryland? You know, you and your sisters were together." And she goes, "Oh, it was so fun. We went to the beach. We saw a bunch of special forces guys come in, and all of my sisters started acting like they were the fucking Beatles. And then, we went back and we were hanging out at Jan's house and we played cornhole." What? Yeah, we played cornhole. So let me get this straight. You go to the beach, you have this great time with your sisters. By the way, my mom's 69 years old. Just to put it in perspective for you. She goes, I go, well, so you guys had this great time and then you went back to Jan's house and you guys were cornholing. And she goes, well, yeah, well, it's not cornholing, Rocky, you're stupid. It's called cornhole. Okay, yes it is. But, so what exactly is cornhole? You know, piquing my interest in her slang term for this, and she goes, well, originally it's called bean flicking. I fucking almost lost it. It's like, all right, so you guys are playing cornhole, which was originally called bean flicking. What exactly is this? And she goes, you know, the bags. The bags usually have beans in them, but they have corn in them up in Maryland. So you take the bags full of corn and you throw them into holes. She was playing fucking bags, but they call it cornholing in Maryland, apparently. So I explained to her about, you know, how cornhole is a colloquialism for anal sex, to which she calls me a disgusting pervert and I should never have had children. And so I go to work, right? And that Mexican lady that I was talking about, we're sitting there talking and I tell her the whole story, right? And I'm like, yeah, so my mom says originally it was called bean flicking. And she's just like, I go, bean flicking, you know? And she's like, no, what's bean flicking? I go, you know, when a chick, it's bean flicking. They call it flicking the bean. And she goes, oh shit, I should have known that. I go, well, yeah, you're Mexican. Of all people, you should have known what bean flicking is. Oh, fuck you, she laughed. You can laugh too. So anyways, in honor of that dirty story, on to the other end of the gamut, this is a poem that I wrote for her about 8 years ago. This one's called The World Through Almond Eyes. And it's basically about my mother's life. So, here it is. There once was a girl born into this world with almond-shaped eyes. She didn't know hate or rape, only love and surprise. Born to a mother unlike any other, full of spite and disgust, no trust. Soul was corroded, so it began to rust. As the years went on, innocence were gone. Polio developed, along with the bitchiness of her sisters. Everyone got beaten with switches. As well as the sisters and mothers, the girl also had 3 brothers. One was a worker, one was a warrior, and one was a wanderer. The warrior became a drunk. The worker left when turmoil made his blood boil, and the wanderer ceased to be upon colliding with the tree. The girl became a woman, and then became a mother. Although in the time that would take, she would grow into the thing that grasped most of her hate. The girl moved to a place in space, a world better suited to her taste, looking for stocks in city blocks, had to hide her face in space soon after getting raped. Then the blocks, they turned into crocs, sent away her firstborn to her mother with an emerald ring that she had to hawk. The girl met a man with a plan, as well as a lot of love to give. But his love was a buffet for 2 other women to live. She still knew and didn't care. Her dad was the same way, with lots of love to share. She felt it was too late. She already sank into what she grew to hate. Nowadays, the girl is her own person, never falling victim to coercion. Back to the farm and occasionally returning just to flaunt riches to all the bitches. She had 3 sons. One was a worker, one was a warrior, and one was a wanderer. The worker was a drunk that smoked on rocks, but will endure and work hard. And the warrior turned from drugs to a pretentious man of God. The wanderer wanders still and smokes a lot of dope, constantly an inch away from the noose at the end of his rope. The man with a plan, will he become something she can't stand? See, time heals, time takes away. But don't let time turn you into the thing that you hate. This is The World Through 4 Almond Eyes. Thank you. So, 2 of my best friends showed up tonight, Chris and Chris. Chris Coach and Chris G. And shortly before I got up here, my friend Chris G takes me out back. And we're smoking a cigarette, and we're talking, and he goes, So Rock, what are the chances? I go, okay, what are the chances of what? That you can bone one of these chicks in here? Probably not too good. He goes, no. He goes, what are the chances? I go, what are the chances that I have pot? Fair to partly. He goes, oh, Rock, I'm Johnny B. Blaze, man. Are you kidding me? That's why I'm wearing camouflage right now, man. You can't see me. I'm like John Cena. You can't see my face. So I go, what are the chances of what? He goes, what are the chances it's an early snow? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, no. God, no. No. Let me make a phone call. That was a joke. That was a punchline. Anyways. Sorry, that one didn't hit as well as I thought it would. This next one I did before, but I tried to do it from memory, and my memory sucks because of, well, whatever. This was called I'm a Chef, and I love women. So this is called The Two Things That I Love. Some men like them like green beans, young and tender. I like them like tomato paste, thick and rich. Some men like them like blue cheese, old and earthy. Some men like medium, seared brown with a pink center, or Pittsburgh, burn raw in the middle. Some like peppers, small and spicy with a kick to the mouth. Some like bitter, salty, sweet, sour, beautiful, burlesque, sexy as hell, all when presented well. But I always say grace before I eat pussy. Thank you. All right. There is one thing I wanted to say real quick. I'm not a political guy by any stretch of this fucking imagination. Like, I don't vote because it's pointless. I don't give a shit about politics because you can't get real news anymore on CNN or Fox or any place. And that's just my opinion. If you don't share it, fine, whatever. But I will say this, in this election year, from all the things that I've been seeing, please, I implore you, don't do me a favor, do yourselves, do your country a favor, and all the incumbent congressmen and senators, vote against them. It doesn't matter whether you believe in what they say or not, vote them the fuck out, because these cocksuckers have had so long to be able to make a difference and do some good in this world, and we're still fucked. Fuck them all, fire them. And as far as the presidential election goes, you know, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, whatever, vote third party. That's all there is to it. Vote the Green Party, vote Libertarian, vote something else. Because you know what? Mitt Romney's the exact goddamn same as Obama. I don't give a shit what anyone says. It's all gonna fucking collapse in our face. And we need to take this country back because Thomas Jefferson said it best. Government should not fear, or people should not fear the government. The government should fear the people. And we're their fucking bosses, and guess what? They're fucking fired, so fuck them all. So with that being said, I got a poem right now. It's untitled, but here it goes. Sorry, I try to remember it, but apparently, yeah, memory's bad. Digital Doonesbury cartoons. Uncle Duke rolls his grave as kids on their iPads blog about how that they're the doomed. Anti-smoke-a-logic, I hope most choke. How's your answer the fact that I get cancer when I'm the one inhaling all the cigarette smoke? So broke, man, I can't afford lights. So occupy these hamlets for financial rights. I'd rather walk up to them suits, cock a long sword twice. 60s protest damages. Looking for damages from some old Christian bastard just trying to slang sandwiches. Voting for cheats, murderers, and tax collectors, but quite content to throw around jokes about child molesters. So most would rather hold vigils instead of hold candles, but this is only the gospel according to Jack Daniels. So put your placards down, man, and push your picket lines back. You can take a look in the mirror, you can protest that. Thank you. All right, I got two more because I think I'm coming up on my time. So we'll start with this one. This is called What's Going On. The world's different and the same. Still war, famine, tragedy, topics du jour for all the celebrities to debate and care about. Still the rich and poor. Yet now we have the internet. All the information in the world at our faces and fingertips. We use it for nut shots and porno. I remember when that was reality TV. Not much difference there. Still trash, doing trashy things. Economists say that things are cheaper now than in the 80s. Then why do I debate cooking my arm and leg instead of hustling to buy groceries? There's an equation to prove even the most ludicrous ideas. Thank you. So this is my last one. I think death gets a bad rap. I mean, not like, not the act of dying or anything. Yeah, that's tragic, cry, whatever. But I mean the Grim Reaper, death himself. Like, people hate death. And I was thinking about it one day when one of my friends had died. And, this is kind of like some guy who actually lost somebody recently and gets to confront the Reaper himself. And this is, I think, the conversation that they would have. So this is a conversation with death. A man falls away from a wake. Dreams make their way like movies. He sees death standing in an orchard. This is my time to shine. Bastard cloaked skeleton, you sow pain to reap tears from those that you like to turn into specters. Oh, mortal man, what plans your hands have conceived are very little in the means of the universe. Plans? You speak of love as if it was fodder. No, small man, for that's what keeps things moving. Then why enact such cruel fate, the innocent in pain taken in such haste? Now hold your bitter tongue, foolish mortal man, and your arrogance blind to the horrors the future holds, and closed doors lock in and away. But you damn skinned son of a bitch, you took her away from me. Why? I just want why. Why do the innocent children die? And why do people weep away their nights, wishing that they could see their loved ones one more time? Why? Because in the way of the cosmos, you have no way of seeing the things that I've seen. You have no way of being the thing that I am. So take your hands and dig your grave, because there's one more place left for us to go. Okay, sir, let's go on our journey. Whether it be fire or clouds, let's go on our journey, you bastard. Thank you. My name's Rocco Caniglia. That's my time.
Allison's coming back in November. I want to have an intensity contest between Rocco and Allison.
I want to have a headbutting contest.
Boy. I don't know. Two Italians throwing down in a headbutting contest? That shit's going to get real fast.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. That would definitely be like the fundraiser of the decade, Headbutting contest, follow, immediately after the spoken word show, headbutting contest. And 5 people show up for the spoken word show, and then we fill, the Orpheum for the headbutting contest. That would be like a typical day.
That's why you have the headbutting contest first.
Yeah, but then I always have I hate this moment where you're standing on stage and then you're like, oh look, the headbutting contest is over. Who's this guy, Dave Nesbitt? Yeah. Wait. Hey. Yeah. If you could just kind of at least act like you're heading to the concession stand on your way out the door, that would be awesome. So, on the list of people that were up on the Great Lincoln Trip, he kind of missed the initial part, which was us stopping at Abelardo's. We had two choices, basically, before we left. We figured it was either Mexican food or Indian, and I figured of the possibilities of 5 people trapped in a car after breakfast, that of the two, Mexican was probably the better alternative. And somehow we managed to go up, have ourselves a grand old time. Mikey came along a bit later and then made it just that much better for his presence. So ladies and gentlemen, Mikey Taylor.
Take off your top. Woo! You got the pants.
The black light shirt, why would I take that off? While we're talking about that, I just want to, for a second. Hi, Will, I hope you're enjoying the show. I'm on stage now, put your fucking pants back on. Oh, and by the way, this is a book that Will and I wrote together. As you can see, there are pictures of us on the back. So I'm going to hold it up to the camera so he can be on one of these broadcasts. You know I love you, man. So yeah, as everyone has talked about, there was quite the epic weekend. Marlo and I got to hang out with the Night of the Living Dead Stars kind of show in Georgia Santa, and then several of us went and saw Henry Rollins and got to have some conversation time with him. And last week I actually got to do a little phone interview with Henry Rollins, and spent about a half hour talking to him about all kinds of things, and we'll get into that later. But spending the weekend with people that have inspired you, and in my case, kind of set me on the path that I'm on right now. It's interesting, and I find myself being very selfish when I have that opportunity to sit them down or talk to them on the phone and ask questions. So I ask the general questions, and then all of a sudden I find myself going, so, let's just say you're a spoken word performer, or a writer, or trying to get into movies, or a horror fan, blah, blah, blah. And I start asking advice for you people, obviously, not for me. I want everyone to know this. And the one thing that I kind of took away, and this is kind of the theme I want to go with tonight, is every one of them told me that you take care of the people that come to see you or that consume what you're putting out there. And by no means do I want to say that myself, or I think I can speak for all the samurai, I'm going to, and say that we're not like we're celebrities or, we're just people that, a group of people like-minded with varying degrees of talent. I'm down here somewhere, so the other folks are way by. And we're kind of in love with the sound of our own voice. And we just want to say, we want to get up and just, explain or let you know what we're feeling or what we're doing at the time. But the thing is, we owe it to you to make it worth your while to come out here. You gave us time. You might not be a fan of all of us. You might only like one of us. But at least you come and you sit and you tolerate the rest of us. So I got to thinking about some of the moments in my life where I met somebody or got to spend a few minutes with someone who should have given me the respect or whatever, and some of them do, some of them don't. I can't remember the first actual celebrity that I met. I was a little kid, and my dad worked in the fireworks business. So he crossed paths with a lot of celebrities. And as a little kid, I was always tagging along, and I didn't know who the fuck the Beach Boys were. But I was at the show and backstage and all that. I didn't care, I remember meeting Boxcar Willie. I don't know who the fuck he was, but he made this really cool train sound with his mouth. And I thought that was cool. I met, and this is one of the first ones that I ever remember meeting or interacting with. My dad did a show with Erlene Mandrell at Exarban. And it wasn't so much her that I interacted with. She was touring with Truck Shackley and the Texas Critters. And if you aren't familiar with them, if you didn't watch the Barbara Mandrell show back in the day, I didn't miss an episode. They were the Croft Puppets. And it was a country band of a bunch of bumpkins and their dog that could talk, and it was just really these huge puppets. I got to meet them, and so I remember walking up and checking them out, and then the one going, "Hi, Mike." I'm like, what the fuck? And I had a conversation at about, 5 or 6 years old with this band. And I thought it was pretty cool. Then I got this autographed picture, and I thought, shit, look at this. And I take it to school for show and tell. And I'm like, I got Ernie Mandrell. Who gives a shit about her? She autographed it too, but I didn't give a fuck. All these puppets had autographed this thing for me. And everybody at school is going, they're just puppets. Seriously, they're just puppets. They didn't sign it. I talked to them. They made a fool out of me, but it was like a highlight of my young life at the time. So, many people that my dad worked with, and many of them I didn't get a chance to interact with. The Beach Boys, I didn't get to meet them or anything. I didn't know who they were. The Moody Blues, the Fix, all these shows that came through, I didn't get to hang out with them. But Dad made me go see Elvira at a car show because he knew I was a huge fan. He was a huge fan of something there. I do have a picture. I was about 14 years old, and I have a picture of me with Elvira, and she's leaning over the table, putting her arm around me, and I'm standing there like this. So, that was an experience. That was a different kind of experience. That she gave me something that I took home and thought about a lot. I pondered that quite a bit. But one of the first celebrities that I remember meeting that was a horrible experience. And when I think about it, I probably have the same question you do, and that is, why would I want to meet Chubby Checker? I didn't. I did not want to meet the guy. I had no clue he was even around. I was working at a grocery store called Hy-Vee, and they announced, hey, in a week we're going to have Chubby Checker here. And I thought, why the fuck are we going to have Chubby Checker in a grocery store? So then they started playing this soundtrack of Chubby Checker, and they would announce over the intercom, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, next week, Chubby Checker. They played this little soundtrack of all 5 of his songs. There's like the Purple People Eater, and there's a couple other ones I don't remember. Then there was the Twist, and then the cleverly titled Let's Twist Again. And I'm sure there was a sequel to that as well. It just, everything was twisting. And I think they even played the Fat Boys version of the Twist on that little soundtrack. So, you might ask, why the fuck was Chubby Checker at a grocery store? Now he was promoting Chubby Checker Twist Beef Jerky. And you're probably saying, well, I've never heard of Chubby Checker Twist Beef Jerky. You're not missing anything. What it was, and I was lucky enough to get a sample of it, it was a Slim Jim-like product that they had taken 2 flavors of and kind of curled them together, thus twisting the flavors of cheddar and beef, pepperoni and sausage. Have you ever seen those dog treats that are the pepperoni and that's pretty much what it was. These things were fucking horrible. I had to taste one in front of Chubby Checker himself. He has a little sample there, and he's like, hey, try my jerky, and I tried it. Oh, wow, what do you think about that? It's great, sir. As these 5 songs are playing for the entire 2 hours that he was there. I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm like, this shit sucks. But I wanted this autograph for some reason, because I knew that he was a legend in the music industry, I guess, with his 5 songs, but he had a huge hit. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go get an autograph from him. And I don't mean to piss off any Chubby Checker fans in the house tonight. I don't know what they would be called, like a chubhead or a chubby chaser, possibly. But he was the biggest prick I've ever met in my life that was famous. I get up there, I'm in my little Hy-Vee uniform with a shirt and tie and my huge cell phone, because I was the catering manager. I had this big cell phone on my leg. I take this picture with him, and Polaroid, and he signs it, and he's all smiles. It was just an act, because he's saying dirty shit to you while you were, like, just nasty, hateful stuff. Okay, you got your picture, get out of here. And he had no time for me because he had a lot of fans that he went to address. If it was an attractive young lady, she got up there, she would get her picture, she would get her autograph, and she got a little extra bonus. He called it the chubby squeeze. He would put his arm around her, say, "Come here, baby, I want to give you the chubby squeeze." Pull her in, and as he pulled her in, he would kind of turn for a little hug. And yeah, he kind of groped people, you know, it was horrible. Well, as I'm looking at this picture, I noticed I have my eyes closed. So I'm like, man, I said, hey, my eyes are closed in this picture. He's got this big smile painted on his face. He goes, "Beat it, kid, you're not getting another one. Oh, by the way, you gotta buy some beef jerky for that, too." Like, nobody else had to buy fucking beef jerky. He's making these old people come up and buy his beef jerky to get an autograph. These are people who probably got in trouble for listening to his music because back then rock and roll was the devil. They probably got in a lot of trouble. It was very controversial. And he's saying, "You gotta buy some beef jerky to get my autograph." And they say, "Do me a favor, Chubby. We've been listening to you since the beginning. We remember this and that. Just say, like, oh yeah, or let's twist again." And he'd go, "I don't say that anymore." Really? It sounds like only a fucking set over the intercom here. He wouldn't do it. He was just a major asshole. I kind of put a bad light on meeting celebrities, for me at least. So I still have the picture, by the way. It's a little Polaroid. It hangs in my bathroom because that's where the shit goes. It hangs right in my bathroom. People go, "Hey, why do you got that picture of Chubby Checker in your bathroom?" I go, don't ask. He's a prick. Thinking about, people that just kind of rubbed you the wrong way. I met at a car show once, Vern Troyer, Mini-Me. And this is before he did the surreal life where he went around and pissed on his little scooter and all that shit. And I think my phone called somebody. Yeah, it did. Sorry. So, I don't know who it was, but it's probably home or something. But Vern Troyer, I went to the car show to meet him. And this is where the asshole kind of is off balance by someone else. And Vern Troyer wasn't an asshole, he just didn't have time for you. He was very short with me. And
You're better than that, Mike.
Oh, and you're rewarding yourself.
yeah, oh yeah. No, he just didn't really have a lot of time. He didn't want to interact. But he had a gentleman with him, and the line came up to meet Vern Troyer, and the other gentleman was sitting over here, and the line just went straight to Vern Troyer. And everybody's like, "Hey, we have another celebrity here." And it was another little person, a man by the name of Phil Fondacaro. And I believe he appeared in Willow. He was an Ewok. He was the only Ewok that died, for you Star Wars nerds. He was not stepped on by that big machine. And he was in a few other things. I recognize him from a movie called Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood. Okay. So I'm standing there, I'm looking, and I go, "Oh shit, I got these pictures for Vern Troyer to autograph that I had to buy. Are you selling pictures for him?" "Oh yeah, just go right up there." And I got to spend about 20 minutes hanging out with Phil Fondacaro, and we talked Bordello of Blood and these other horror movies he'd been in. And he's like, "Are you serious? You're not into me being an Ewok?" I said, "I give a fuck about being an Ewok. Dude, you were in Willow. That's a good movie, Bordello of Blood, Jesus Christ, why didn't it win an Oscar?" And he was also, and this is after I met him, he was in George Romero's Land of the Dead. He played a character called Chihuahua. And that's cool for me because I'm a huge zombie freak. And so that can go on my wall of people that have acted for George Romero. So that's kind of when you get the bonus thrown at you, like this Mini-Me was just like, "Here's this, you want a picture, take a picture, okay, go. Okay, go." And he had someone standing there going, "It's time to go now." It's fucking Mini-Me, I mean, come on. Austin Powers was hot back then. It was, it was the movie. And he had no time for you. I was like, fuck. Okay. Well, there is the flip side of that, where people have way too much time for you. And it's not because they are D-listers or whatever, it's just they're giving, but in the wrong way. And on kind of a side note of this, I once met a girl online, and we went out, and we were swapping stories about this and that and the other thing. And we started talking about celebrities we had met, and her comment was, do you remember Kid and Play? And I'm like, yeah, I remember Kid and Play. She goes, yeah, I fucked Kid. Wow, that's interesting. You fucked Kid. I just met you and you're telling me this. What else do you have in your bag? You know, that's somebody that's giving a little too much. I said, how? I didn't even know they were still together. How did you fuck Kid? Well, apparently he's a stand-up comedian now. I'm like, well, yeah, I've seen all the house party movies and all that, but my favorite's House Party 2, they put Jammy Jam. If you haven't seen it, check it out. You'll hate me later.
I hate you now.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Many do.
Because kids spell backwards describes best.
Yeah, it does. My dad's quality. So she said that. I'm like, yeah, that's somebody that's a little too giving. Well, I didn't have the same experience with these fellas. I didn't fuck them, but I kind of got fucked. I spent some time out in Seattle and a couple weekends at this thing called ZombieCon. And I was out there meeting all my favorites, you know, and I met George Romero. I don't get starstruck very often. I couldn't speak to the man. I walked up and just and he goes, what's going on with you? I said, hi. It's like, oh shit, we have another one. Come sit down. So I sat down with him and he goes, so what's going on? What are you so freaked out about me? Thank you. He goes, for what? I said, everything. He goes, really? Everything? Everything I've ever done? I go, uh-huh. He goes, okay, son, let's take a picture and you'll be okay. Very nice man, you know, and I met Bruce Campbell. I was actually interviewed by Bruce Campbell. I tried to interview him, he interviewed me. Which was odd. But I was dressed like a zombie clown, so anything can happen, trust me. So, you know, that was a great experience, but the second year I went out there where I kind of got fucked is, I guess I have to tell you this first, because it'll make more sense. The first year I went out, I met a gentleman that he's not hugely famous, but he is from a famous family. He's in a singing group called T3 with two of his brothers. His name's Taj Jackson, and he is the son of T.O. Jackson from the Jackson 5. And he has these three amazingly hot Brazilian triplet girls that run around with him. One's his girlfriend, I don't know which one. And they make a zombie web series called Code Z. So I met them, spent a lot of time talking to them, interviewed them and all that. The second year I went out there, I had made plans to go out with the girl I was dating at the time. We made the plans, we made the reservations, we broke up, she started dating a friend of mine. He was going on the trip as well. There was an uncomfortable period in this somewhere, but we made it work because it's like, fuck it, we're gonna have fun, we're all still friends. Nobody really got their feelings hurt, except for me for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then, whatever. So, she always told me, you know that these people you meet, they're not your friends, they just meet you, they forget about you. I said, no, some of them I keep in touch with, and she didn't believe me. So we get on the little train to go to the hotel from the airport, and this amazingly hot Brazilian girl gets on the little bus thing, and her eyes go wide, and she says, Mikey, oh my God, I recognize you with face, you're no makeup. And she gives me a hug, and I'm like, oh, I go, I'm sorry, but I can't remember, I can't tell you guys apart. Which one are you? And she says, I'm Tiana. I go, hey, Tiana, this is so-and-so, I introduce him, and this is one of the hot-ass Brazilian triplets I told you I knew. And she's like, because she knows we have been on this bus for maybe 5 minutes. We have 3 days to spend at this convention. I said, where are your sisters at? Up. Oh, is Taj with you guys? Yeah, oh, cool. So the 2 sisters at the next stop get on. And she said, look who I find. I hug the girls, and I say, I like you to meet Tiana, Thaisa, whatever the hell her names are. And I said, these are the high-ass Brazilian triplets I was telling you about. And then Taj gets on. He goes, oh man, I was hoping you'd be here. I got some things I could talk to you about. He shakes my hand, gives me a hug. I go, oh wait a minute, let me introduce you. This is Taj Jackson, son of Tito Jackson, nephew of the King of Pop. You've all seen that picture of Michael Jackson on the roller coaster in the front seat with a little kid. The little kid is Taj. So I mean, he's pretty impressive to talk to. You know, he has all these great stories. They weren't there because they were guests of the con. They were there to hang out. So he says, do you mind if we hang out with you this weekend? I go, that'd be fine. And this girl's seriously fucking pissed off at me at this point. So we're at this party, first night of ZombieCon, and they had free alcohol. And they had girls in little, like St. Pauli girl outfits with trays of Jell-O shots walking around. This is bad news for me. So I told Taj and the girls to meet me at that party. So we went to the party, we're hanging out. They played Thriller, of course, and I looked at my wife, probably sick of hearing this fucking song. So we had like this great conversation about our top 3 favorite Michael Jackson songs, and we had like one in common, Man in the Mirror, and I mean, we had this great conversation. And then the room just explodes. And we're like, what the fuck just happened? The Boondock Saints had walked in. So here come the Boondock Saints. And everybody's just going nuts. And they walk over to us. And they're like, hey, how's it going? And they're talking to Taj. And they said, how's it going? We know you, right? And he's like, yeah. And they go, can we hang out with you? Because it seems like you're in the corner here and you guys can kind of block for us. That's cool. Yeah, hang out. You want to hang out right here with us? Cool. So we're talking to the Boondock Saints, and people are coming back to meet them. You know, they didn't want to be mobbed. They wanted to come drink the free booze, and so I was drinking it with them. Then I got cut off because I apparently was a little too intoxicated. Not me. Never. Sean Patrick Flannery did not accept that answer. He said, the biggest cut you off of it. I goes, fuck that, I'm a Boondock Saint. And he walked over to the bar, and he goes, what are you drinking? And I had this local beer, and I was drinking these Dixie cups full of cheap whiskey. He goes, fuck that, he went over, he got me around. He gives it to me. I would slam down the whiskey, start drinking this beer, and somebody walked by and grabbed the beer out of my hand, put a glass of water in my hand, and walk on. And I was wearing an army jacket, and he was filling the pockets with Jell-O shots. This was a bad evening. So then we went on like this for about an hour or so. I'm getting multiple shots of whiskey, eating these Jell-O shots, getting completely fucked up. And yeah, it was fun. I was so fucked up, I walked right past the elevator that I was supposed to get out and go down to the ground level so I could walk across to my hotel and go up. And they were connected almost. There's a little walkway I had to go across. I missed it. So I get out, and I walk out, and oh shit. I turn back around, I could see the elevator, I could see everything, but the door was locked. But there were these steps. Concrete steps going down, and I go, fuck, that's where I need to go. I made about 3 steps, then the top half of my body started going faster than the bottom half, and I ended up doing this like swan dive onto my face. And I hit the ground, I was in the dark, it was like 3 in the morning. I'm laying there, I'm like, oh fuck, and I go like this, there's blood everywhere. I'm like, oh man. I feel my teeth are still there, but the one was really fucking loose. I'm like, this sucks. So I start calling my friends that are with me. I used reasoning. At first called my boss back in Nebraska because he had the same first name as someone else on the trip with us. And I just laid the phone down and slowly closed it. And then I started calling. Nobody was answering their phone, except for my ex-girlfriend. She came and found me in a puddle of blood with lit meat laying on the ground, and she said, you look fucking horrible. I had bitten through my lower lip. I got a really cool scar though on the inside of my mouth. It looks like an anus. The way that it's scarred, it's kind of cool. So I'll show you later if you want to see it. pretty much. They did call me that after this little episode. So they asked me what happened, and I explained it, and she goes, Mikey, you are not drinking with the Boondock Saints. Don't bullshit me, goddammit, you're lying ways and this and that. I'm like, I don't bullshit people that bad, okay? I do sometimes, but not that much. She found out, the next day or so, yeah, that is what happened. Well, the next day, my face is all swollen up, I looked like I was beat to shit, my nose was broken, both eyes were black. A sane person probably would have gone to the emergency room. I put on clown makeup and went and interviewed a whole shitload of celebs. Okay? And I figured the more liquor I drank, the cleaner it would stay. So I got completely fucked up that night. The next day I wake up, my lip is swollen, my face is swollen, my mouth is starting to smell like when you leave the canned dog food out a little too long. Yeah, it was bad. So they're going, you have to go to the hospital. You have to go. I'm in fucking Seattle. I'm not going to the hospital. I have shit to do. So I went and interviewed Bill Moseley and Sid Haig, and then went to the hospital. I get to the hospital, the little emergency care, and I sit in the room, and there's mud on the floor. I'm like, oh shit. I look over and there's a little smear of blood on the floor. Like, they really didn't bring me to the best medical facility around. They brought me to the closest one. This sucks. Guy walks in. What happened? I fell down some stairs. You smell like a brewery. That's why I fell down the stairs. Sir, I was drinking with the Boondock Saints. He goes, no, you weren't. Yes, I was. So I argue with him. He grabs my lip, pulls it in about 6 different directions, and it looks like hamburger. And he's poking at my face, and poking here, and poking there. Does that hurt? I'm going, nope. Nope. Nope, doesn't hurt. No. It hurt like a motherfucker. He says, there's nothing I can do. I can't stitch it. It's been over so many hours. I can't give you any injections. I said, that's cool. I don't need any injections. He says, all I can do is give you a prescription for antiseptic mouthwash and some antibiotics. Oh. Okay. It was like fucking Listerine. It was horrible. So, cool. You can amputate the lip if you have to. Do you know what I did? And I'm telling him all these great stories that I had on the weekend, and he's indifferent. He didn't care. So, I go wait at the Walgreens, wasted half of my day chasing down something so my lip didn't fall off. He gives me this little advice. He says, after that heals up, you might want to go talk to a reconstructive surgeon because it's going to leave a little scar. And I go, dude, fucking look at this. Do you think I'm worried about a little hole in my lip? It's not going to fix everything. So he's like, well, whatever, yeah, you got a point there. And I go on my way. And the whole way home, I was all fucked up and everything. And I was sticking my tongue through the hole in my lip. And that's because of someone that's on my bucket list to meet. It's a wrestler named Mick Foley. And he did that when he bit through his lip. He stuck his tongue through his lip hole, and he had a tooth coming out of his nose. And I was disappointed that my tooth didn't end up in my nasal cavity. So that was, I think I got a little too much Boondock Saints experience. But it was cool. I mean, it's just, nobody else can tell that story. No. So, and this is getting back around to, what we did this weekend. I've talked to bands, I've talked to all kinds of people. I got to interview my rock and roll crush, who is a bass player named Karen Kuda from the band Nashville Pussy. I got to play pinball with her and interview her, and I got her to tell this story about getting locked out of her hotel room naked in Amsterdam, and I was just sitting there going, I am so fucking glad I'm recording this. This is going to come in useful later. And I know these great stories. But what I really appreciate is when someone has that philosophy of give back to your fans, and when you bring them to see you or to see your town, you befriend them. And I don't mean like, hey, can I be added to your Facebook page and you never talk to me? No, when you interact with them, when they come in and you know, you miss a breakfast or something and say, hey, you know, where's Mikey at? I thought he'd be here, you know. Oh, he's getting his fucking clown on. Oh, good, you know. So with the Night of the Living Dead folks, that movie kind of set me on a path, because right now where I'm at with the zombie thing, I mean, I'm doing what I love, I'm interviewing people, I'm writing for 2 horror magazines, you know, just, I'm having a great time. I'm getting paid for it, but I'm having a good time. And I think that kind of outweighs, you know, the fun factor kind of outweighs the money factor to a point. Yeah, if there's ever any money involved, I would love to have it, because that would make it a lot more fun.
No shit, right?
But yeah, Jesus. But also, listening to Henry Rollins, he said something during the interview, he kind of reinforced it by example last night. You know, when he said, when people show up to see you, they're giving you time. Don't worry about the money they're giving you, they're giving you time. So you owe them to spend time with them, show them how much you appreciate them, because when they stop showing up, it's over. I thought, well, that's very good to hear. So Henry Rollins set me on a path, because back in, I know this came out in about 94, or 84, sorry, about 84. It took me till about 89 until I was cool enough to see this. So, and this is from a Black Flag album that's mostly spoken word, that really got me interested in spoken word. And it's called Family Man. And this little piece here that I want to read, this is by Henry Rollins. It's called Hollywood Diary, and this is the first poem I ever memorized for myself, just for pleasure, for fun, whatever. Hollywood Diary. He loved her. He chopped off his left arm, the good one, and sent it to her with a box of chocolates. She ate the chocolates and watched TV. He blew his brains out, picked them up, shoved them back upside his head, made breakfast, ate, and tried again with renewed vigor and enthusiasm not seen by many. And if you guys have never heard this album, I suggest you get it. It's a punk album. It's half spoken word, half kind of this weird punk rock, improvised jazz. And there's only one song where they tour together, where they sing and play. This one kind of makes more sense to me the more I read it, so I'm glad I revisited it for this. It's called Let Your Fingers Do the Walking. I try and I try, but I can't seem to pry my mind from the gutter. Gutter brain pushing filthy thoughts, dirty hands working, digging nails. Let your fingers do the walking, let your fingers do the walking, let your fingers do the walking, let your fingers do the walking. I see your head nodding from side to side. You say you stuck around for just one last ride. Well, you'll surely go just as sure as you can. What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Let your fingers do the walking. 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 You spend so much time telling me about yourself and your kind. There's so many of you now. I want to know, how does your army grow? And so on, man. And so on, man. So go on, man. So go on, man. Well, so long, man. Let your fingers do the walking. 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 Hey now, I got a halo above my head and a gun in my hand. I can do no wrong, man. Time stands still and takes a step aside. My credit is good anywhere, anytime. All the girls know my name, but there's none by my side. I'm a man among men, walking tall with a plan. You can send it around the world, you can hold it in your hand. You can bring it on home. I'm Armageddon man. Girl, it's written on the wall. For a good time, call me. Won't you come by? Won't you give me a try? I'm easy to reach and I'm willing to teach you everything you want to know. Don't come knocking on my door. It's open. Just walk in like you own the place. Hang your hat. Put your feet up. I got time and I know how to use it. How much time do you have? Do you know? Do you know? How much do you know how much you need to get the job done? You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? Of course you do. That's why we came here in the first place. Let your fingers do the walking. 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 How can I forgive? How can I let live? How can I forgive? How can I let live? How are you going to make me forgive? How are you going to make me let live? Let your fingers do the walking. 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 So from that, let's skip that one. From that, the title track, Family Man. And this one was like, damn, you know, I actually got in trouble for listening to this and reciting it and whatnot. But, you know, I was like, what the fuck, you know? Do you want the family man or do you want the swinging man? You choose. Family man. Well, you got the family man. Family man. Family man. With your glances my way, taking no chance on the new day, family man. With your life all planned, your little sandcastle built, smiling through your guilt, family man. Here I come. Here I come, family man. I come to infect. I come to rape your woman. I come to take your children to the street. I come for you, family man, with your Christmas lights already up. You're such a man when you're putting up your Christmas lights. First on the block, family man. Family man, I want to crucify you on your front door with the nails in your well-stocked garage, family man. Family man. Family man. Saint Dad, Father on fire, I've come to incinerate you. I've come home. So that kind of introduced me to Henry Rollins' spoken word. So I became kind of a freak about Henry Rollins and his spoken word. From his spoken word, I realized that he wrote books. So I got some books. And I got even better shit. I was like, damn, this guy's fucking intense. This is a series of little short blurbs that he's written in the book Bang. It's called American Hardcore. Check out at the market. There she is. Baby in one arm, 5-year-old at her feet. The purchase. 6-pack of Bud, 5th of Old Granddad, pack of Cools, potato chips, barbecue, tampons. The cashier checks the bruises on her arms, rings it all up. She's short. She puts the tampons back. Priority. Yelling, cursing, noise level terror. Then he hits her. She cries. Things get quiet, then it starts again. Locked in his room, the boy sits on the floor next to his bed. That's the place he goes when they go at it. Mother and alien. This man boyfriend. This thing that watches television and drinks long cans of malt liquor in the dark. Sometimes the alien is there when his mother isn't. The alien doesn't talk. The alien drinks, beats his mother, and watches television. The boy knows that he's lucky the alien doesn't beat on him. Aliens beat on his friends. He sees them at school with their bruises. He figures that aliens are here to make life hard as possible. He steals his father's pot and sells it at the school for beer money. Gets drunk whenever possible, fucks shit up. Cuts classes, comes into third period high. Steals shit from stores at the local mall. Wrecked his friend's father's car. Listens to FM radio, watches television. Seen a video of his father screwing some young blonde chick that he wouldn't mind doing the same thing to. Knows all the alarm codes to his friends' houses. Plans to be in a rock band someday. Has ripped off a guitar in preparation for this. I'm going to punch you into next week. I'm going to punch you so hard that you'll have to pull your pants down to brush your teeth. I'm going to clean your clock. I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to start World War III on your face. Take off your glasses. This is gonna hurt. Take the first, motherfucker. Don't start with me. It's been about 5 minutes since I kicked the dog shit out of a butt-faced faggot motherfucker like you. If you see a faggot, then I think you better slap him. Let's take this outside. I'll meet you here after class, after the show. I'll see you in the pit. Watch your back. See you around, motherfucker. So that's kind of the influence that I've had in my stuff. And so that influenced me to have this kind of attitude when it came to when I wrote, you know, my little book. And I just want to read the acknowledgments that I put in the front. Obviously, Will and I both had our own, so mine says, I want to thank the 3 most influential men in my life, my father, Wally Taylor, Alan Scott Sensei, and Ron Christenham Sensei, for teaching me to be well-balanced. I would also like to thank those who have loved me, those who have hated me, those who have fought me, those who have fucked me, those who have supported me, and those who have criticized me. You are all inspirations in your own ways, and you know who you are. Then I went on, and I was just go with the new one that I wrote. I wrote this, I can say I wrote this in about 15 minutes, but I've been thinking about it for about 3 days. And I called it The Letter. I wanted to write you a letter to show you exactly how I feel. I didn't want to type it or email it because then you could only read the words. I wanted to put pen to paper so you could feel the words on the page, so you could see how easily the ink flowed from the pen at the beginning, just like the thoughts flowed from my brain, as the feelings flowed from my heart, as the emotions flowed from my soul. That was the beginning. Maybe you would see how I totally ignored the margins, because I was afraid there wouldn't be enough room to fit everything I wanted to say on the page. Maybe, if you paid enough attention, you would see where the ink is blotted in the spot where I stopped and waited, searching for the perfect word to explain exactly how I feel. Sometimes I use the wrong words, and at least on the paper you could see that I tried to cross them out, tried to hide them under scribbles, and replace them with exactly the right words. I tried to fix them. Sorry I left such a big mess. Maybe you could feel the indentation that the pen made because I was pushing so hard, trying to force the feelings to come out. Pushing because I was frustrated, because I wanted so badly to make you understand. Maybe you couldn't read the part that was smudged. It was my fault. I wasn't paying attention. I was in a rush and didn't notice that the ink wasn't dry. It just wasn't ready for me to keep going on. That's how I made this mess. Sorry if the creases and the folds in this part make it hard to read. I wadded it up and threw it away. Then I tried to take it out of the trash and smooth it out the best I could. If it looks a little worn out, it's because I folded it up and put it in my pocket. I didn't want to toss it out and forget about it. I had to step back and think about what I wanted to write next. Guess there's no need to be wordy. I'm a man of few words, and there's only a few words that I have for you right now. If I could, I would tell you that I miss you, and how I want you here with me right now. I've tried to be more open and let you know exactly how I feel, not make you guess. I'd listen to you and actually pay attention to your wants and needs. Yeah, if I could write you a letter, I'd say all that. And I'd write it in ink so it couldn't be erased. I try to write the best I can, but just like my handwriting, I'm a little hard to read sometimes. Maybe I will write that letter, and I'll fold it up and put it in my pocket, and carry it around day after day until I figure out where I need to send it.
Yeah!
There's that. And I just want to kind of wrap it up by saying, I want to thank you guys for coming out, giving me your time. Hopefully I didn't waste it for you. And thank the samurai that went to the show last night, because that was pretty fucking amazing. And I spent time at that show as Rollins was on stage doing his thing, looking at the other performers. And I'd look at Dave and be like, God damn, that kind of sounds like something you talked about. I'd see him looking at me, or I'd get, pop in my head, didn't I say that last week? Fuck. It was like, damn, it was kind of like, we're bouncing ideas around, and I was just waiting for Rollins to get up there and say, so, there's this guy named Rob, and he took me to Berlin, but instead he told a story about drinking cow piss in India and eating rats, and, it's quite a tale. I might have rather heard the Berlin story, actually.
Never look at pate and say.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. But, just like, everybody that I've talked to so far has said, it's you guys that are the inspiration to do this because you keep showing up. And when I was doing my podcast, when I was in a band, when I started doing this, when I started writing, I figured if one person would pick up a book, listen to a song, listen to me talk, if one person was willing to do that, I'd keep doing it because that's my inspiration. So thank you for being the inspiration. Before I break into a Chicago song, thank you.
Great stuff. And so before we wrap it up for the evening, Mikey reminded me of my one all-time great interaction with a celebrity. I've met a few. I met Henry Rollins last night. And we're going to be going back and forth about this Rollins thing for a while because he really was, performance-wise, you get the chance to check him out. He's amazing. But also, he was just really cool when we met him. He was a really nice guy. The pic's up on Facebook if you want to take a look. The biggest celebrity I've ever met is a gentleman by the name of Brian May. He's the guitar player for, or was the guitar player for a band called Queen. You might have heard of them.
Also an astrophysicist.
Also an astrophysicist, yes, he finished his PhD. And I met him through a job I'd had years before. It had actually nothing to do with Rob. This was actually a straight job. And I got a chance to take him on a tour of this plant that I was working at because I had told my boss some years before that I had had tickets to go see Queen, in 1984 with Freddie Mercury, and I fractured my femur the day of the show. I didn't just fracture my femur, I fractured my femur and I hyperextended my knee. I did it proper. So I got the leg set and I got myself all, doped up on, painkillers, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the show. My dad's looking at me like, you're out of your fucking mind, sit down, you're not going anywhere. So I missed my opportunity to go see Queen. I told my boss this, and Brian May was coming, and so he sprung this on me, and all of a sudden I turn around and there's Brian May, who's 6'4" to begin with and 7'2" with hair. And he was like the nicest guy. He was, for a person who sold, more albums in England than the Beatles, and has moved like 220 million albums and played football stadiums on multiple nights. He is like the nicest, sweetest person in the world. And so I told him my tale of woe, that I had fractured my leg and never had an opportunity to see the Freddie Mercury Queen, and he was like, oh, that's a total shame. What show was it? So I told him the shows, Montreal in December, and he said, okay, that's cool. And we talked for a while, and then he left, and 2 weeks later at work, my boss comes walking up and he's holding a manila envelope. He says, I think this is for you. And I look at the manila envelope, and it is from Queen's management office. And I open it. It is a cassette tape of the show I missed. Fan for life? Yes, right here. Whenever Queen puts out like a greatest hits collection, and they've got like a dozen of them now, I go out and buy them. When they did their tour with Paul Rogers, who I'm a huge fan of, if you're not familiar with who Paul Rogers is, that would be Free and Bad Company. He toured with Queen, and it was amazing. And I went to go see him. It was a great show. And so I was always thought if at some point in time I have the great moment of being incredibly successful, and some fan walked up to me and said, I missed the show or this or that, that is my total example of how I want to behave in that particular sense, to remember that moment of that person who missed that opportunity, and now you're like, pay it back, have some fun. And with that in mind, I don't have the money to buy everyone around, but at some point in time I will. But I am grateful to each and every one of you for coming out. Thank you so very, very much. It has been a wonderful evening. Thanks.